Perfect Little Podcast I have every single morning. I am your host, Max, and that will never change. And today, let's get into our today's topic. Now, why is Generation Z so stupid? Why are they all being seducted in this new ideology? That's what we'll be discussing in today's episode. And please, all the parents out there, listen to this. This is an incredibly important episode. So, if you are not up to date on your generations, or just need a basic definition, every 20, 30 years, a generation of people are born. I would say probably the majority of the people watching the show are either baby boomers or Generation X. I possibly have a few Gen Zers out there, probably in their 20s or late teens. I would highly doubt there's millennials out there. Now, I'm pretty sure everyone has heard about the millennial. They're 30-year-old scumbags who are pretty lazy. Now, I've been saying millennials out there who are watching this, but we get a lot of stereotypes. I think two generations we hear a lot about are millennials and baby boomers. We always assume that these boomers are just a bunch of old, white, racist old men, even though a lot of them are incredibly intelligent, incredibly smart, and people who we should listen to. We rarely ever hear about the silent generation, hence why they're called silent generations, but they gave birth to the baby boomers gave birth to Generation X forgot how to use chromosomes, and they gave birth to millennials give birth to Gen Z, but there's a few Generation X's who give birth to Gen Z as well. So, I myself is a Generation Z born in the late 2000s, would make me Generation Z. If you're born after 2012, you're a Generation Alpha. So this is more referring to millennials, Generation Z, and especially Generation Alpha. Why are they all so stupid? And why are they all following these stupid beliefs? Here's a few answers. First one we have to get into is education. Education is a major part of this. Because if you remember, if you're a baby boomer in Generation X, you learn a lot of great things. You learn how great our country was. You learn basically how our government functions. You learn about basic countries, basic stuff. That's why a lot of Generation X, even late millennials, and baby boomers, they're incredibly smart. They learn the basics in school. But nowadays, this is untrue for me since I luckily go to a school that's not been indoctrinated with these beliefs. But for a majority of the schools, specifically the public schools in our nation, they teach, especially Generation Z, which is probably the main school base right now, they teach them about gender identity, communism is good, how evil white people are, stuff like that. Stuff that if you were a baby boomer, 50, I would even argue 20 years ago, this stuff would sound crazy, it would sound evil. But it's all a plan of the elites. You see, the elites don't want white people around anymore. Now, I don't want to sound like white power, as I am just more stating a fact. They just don't want white people around anymore, because white people tend to vote a certain way. And so they're teaching that. They have to empower minorities, because what they're going to teach in education nowadays is a communist revolution, Antifa. Anti-fascists, even though they are the ones who use fascist tactics, like harassing people in the streets. But they are educating this to children, and children at that age don't have a completely formed brain. So they trust adults because they're always told at home by their parents that whatever adult tells you to do, that's not a stranger, like your teacher, listen to them because they're giving you useful information. Sadly, a lot of parents are blindsided by this. They don't know what's happening in their children's school. So thank the Lord for Lives of TikTok, who is on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I don't think they're on YouTube, but they share a lot of this information with parents. And it's just eye-opening. And luckily, there's a lot of parents who are waking up to this and protesting at school boards. But what some of them have not realized yet is what their children are learning at school. You see, the main example we can see for this is college. You can have a child who's perfectly a Christian enter college, Christian conservative come out as a blue hair angry feminist, who talks about the patriarchy and how everything's bad for them and how everything should be delivered to them on a silver platter. Trust me, I have experience with this. My sister. But see, the children go to school, they learn about this stuff, how America's evil, how racism is still alive and well, how they should trust the elites, how they should trust the government, and how they need to become communists, all this stuff. They come home and they turn into little a-holes. Pardon my language, but that's just true. So what happens is they can indoctrinate their parents. It's stuff that would happen in the Soviet Union. If you don't know, the Soviet Union had their own little version of the Cub Scouts. And they were called the Little Patriots, the little Reds. They would be trained at their Cub Scout meetings that when they go home, to spy on your parents. If your parents dare say anything against the state, you turn in your own parents. That's kind of what's being taught in our public schools nowadays. They're teaching students that, well, your parents are evil. They're probably racist. They're probably bigoted. They're probably homophobic. So you indoctrinate them. You attack against them. For them to become the little revolutionaries. Second reason on why Gen Z is such a stupid generation is the media. Now the media kind of goes along with education. You see, most people don't have time to learn actively. They have to go work. They have to get money. Learning nowadays is somewhat of a second thought, and which is quite sad. This is stuff that in ancient Greece, ancient Rome, the philosophers and many people would look down towards. But sadly in our day and age, we're more focused on getting work done. No offense against that, not anything with anti-work, it's quite sad. So sometimes we just have to rely on the news to tell us what's happening in our world. But sadly the news is engineered against us. Now I will say probably baby boomers and Generation X, they have lesser trust in the news. But when you get into millennials, Gen Z, and Generation Alpha, they absolutely love the news. They eat the stuff. You know who they listen to? Well, although there's some Gen Z-ers like me who have waken up and listened to Fox News or reliable news outlets, majority of Gen Z and millennials listen to, well, CNN, The View, MSNBC, MSN, mainstream media. They all listen to this stuff, and that's where they get all their ideas about the world. Again, I will get in debate with other people, and they are so clear. They are so clueless because all they are repeating talking points, and it's again media indoctrinates them. They indoctrinate them saying, Trump bad, white man bad, Putin bad, Zelensky good, Ukraine good, government good. That's how they train. And I've been in so many debates like that, although it does sound robotic what I just said, that's how they kind of act. For example, if you dare raise up any opposition against the war in Ukraine, maybe saying, well, Ukraine's also an evil state. Zelensky has shot down their opposition. That's glorifying Russia. Russia is still a pretty corrupt state. I'm sorry, those are my dogs. But Putin has I'm sorry, I'm going to try to finish this up quickly. But you dare say Putin has oppressed many people. But if you dare say anything against what they've been told, you are automatically assumed to be a bad person. And that was point 2. Finally, point 3, TikTok. Again, this goes along with all the last 2 points. But TikTok is a cesspool, okay? All social media is a cesspool, but TikTok's the most. It's 30-second videos. It degrades young people's minds. They learn stupid stuff, and then many stuff they dare listen into is stuff about gender identity and multiple other stuff. Sorry, guys. But, and many other stuff like that. They all they listen to this, and you get all these little ideas based off of it, and then that's how they say they assume how to express. Because if you're a baby boomer, you remember back in your day, if you had a different idea, this is what would happen. Although I disagree with you on everything you said, I will fight to my death to make sure you have the right to say that. Nowadays, if you say something that your opposition doesn't like, you must be canceled and you must be kicked out because your ideas are dangerous. Ugh. Of course, that's coming from the green blue hair feminists. And sadly, it's the world we're entering into. You're not allowed to have any opposition. And those are my 3 reasons on why Gen Z is such a dumb generation. And why, if Generation Alpha or some Gen Zers and Millennials wake up, our nation is doomed. It's not because of politics, it's not because of China, it's not because of Russia, it's not because of Iran, North Korea, little rocket man. And at the end of it, it's not because of Democrats in the government, because the only reason why Democrats in the government have power are because of Generation Z and the Millennials, because they are the only ones who are voting for them. So at the end of the day, it's really Generation Z and Millennials who are the attack on our nation. That's all I have for you guys today. This is My Way. I'm Max. I'll see you next time.